Pokemon Era. Missing Mewtwo at the start of the check-in. Chapter 1. Way High. Forest Island. The forest at night was eerily quiet, and a figure seemed to flash past among the dancing shadows of the trees. It was just that it was extremely fast and disappeared in a flash. At this moment, the figure stopped, and like water, moonlight shined through the mottled leaves, illuminating the gap between the two trees. That was a young man in black. He stopped in front of a large building enveloped in darkness. The young man had handsome features and a resolute expression, and his star-like eyes stared sharply at the building in front of him. He raised his wrist and looked at it. It's time. As soon as he finished speaking, he saw a voice coming from the front. Have a good patrol. Mr. Lin has recently asked us to step up our guard and be careful. Do you understand? Clear. Got it, Captain. A dozen or so people roared in agreement with solemn expressions. The Pokemon around them, such as Growlithe and Raiden, also became energetic. Wherever his eyes wander, not even a Diglett can escape. 4 teams took turns patrolling with Pokemon in a rectangular formation. Coupled with the laser projection on the roof, no one can escape. But they never expected it. Under such tight defense, there was a person hiding quietly in the night, watching all this silently. Sudden. Da-da. There was a sound of footsteps approaching leafage. Liu hid behind the big tree, hiding himself perfectly, and even tried to make it impossible to hear his breathing. Finally, the moonlight illuminated a young man. He was wearing a white coat, with sharp eyebrows, and the word, Lin Fan, was pinned on his waist. Liu's eyes lit up. He found a way to sneak into the Lin family experimental base. At this moment, Lin Fan glanced at the opposite side with an evil look, and a trace of doubt flashed in his eyes. Strange, why do you feel like you're being spied on? Lin Fan murmured. His brows furrowed. But I didn't think much about it. The experimental area where Lin Zidao is located is the most strictly managed experimental base in the Lin family's base camp. The defense equipment has been activated to the highest authority. Lin Fan was very relieved about the security here. So, he quickly rubbed the center of his eyebrows and continued to walk towards the experimental base in front, with various thoughts swirling in his mind. Bang! Lin Fan fell down with a pain in the back of his head. Before he passed out, he could only vaguely see a black figure, and he didn't even have time to call for help. Liu put on Lin Fan's white coat and took out an electronic chip from his pocket. Then when the 2 teams were handing over, they walked out quickly and inserted the electronic chip into the door. There was a ding. The door opened, Liu entered smoothly, and walked towards the elevator with a clear goal. Liu was very unscrupulous, so no one noticed him. The researchers were all busy with their work. Enter the elevator and press -3. Almost as soon as he stepped out of the elevator, an electronic sound suddenly sounded in his mind. Drop. Closing square bracket. Sign in location. Linjidao Underground 3-story experimental base. Closing square bracket. Hey, check-in at Samsung location was successful. Closing square bracket. Congratulations to the host for receiving the reward, the Power of Viridian. Closing square bracket. Power of Viridian, a special ability blessed by Viridian Forest. Pokemon has a natural closeness to it, can communicate with it spiritually, and recover injuries in spirit. Contest condition. Closing square bracket. The designated sign-in is completed and you will get a random draw. Closing square bracket. Liu's eyes flashed with ecstasy. As a loyal fan of Pokemon in his previous life, he had been envious of Viridian's power for a long time. He remembers that if the power of Viridian is used to its extreme, it can even increase the power of Pokemon. At this moment, he breathed a long sigh of relief. Finally completed the designated sign-in. It has been a month since Liu came to Aquamarine, a world where Pokemon has come to reality. 150 years ago, Pokemon entered the world by mistake. Secret realm barriers were formed on Blue Star, changing the world structure from then on. The emergence of Pokemon replaced most occupations and tools, changing the social order of mankind at that time. Trainer was born. A powerful trainer can influence a city, a province, or even a country. Have the right to speak at the top of the world. The secret realm allows people to explore the secrets of Pokemon and hone the trainer's will and strength. The sign-in system was triggered on the day Liu arrived. The system is divided into 2 types: ordinary sign-in and designated sign-in. Ordinary sign-in is a sign-in similar to normal check-in. You will receive rewards every time you check in at a location. Reward stars vary. The designated sign-in is to designate a place to sign in, which is a little more difficult, but the reward is generally above 3 stars. It's just that the probability of triggering designated sign-in is low, but this is the first time Liu has triggered designated sign-in. Therefore, he was extremely surprised when he saw that there was actually a lottery. Then he guessed that maybe only check-ins with 3 stars or above could trigger random lottery rewards. After all, during this month, when he signed in at ordinary places, he basically received 1 or 2-star prizes. Until 2 days ago, the designated Samsung check-in task was released. Only then would he come to Linji Island. Linji Island is the exclusive experimental area of the Lin family in the Magic City, and it took a lot of effort for Liu to get here. This check-in location was extremely difficult and he had been preparing for it for a full week. Liu glanced at his watch and saw that he still had plenty of time. I also want to see what the Lin family is up to recently. Thinking of the news announced by the Lin family at the Magic City conference the week before, he raised his eyebrows jokingly, with a curious expression on his face. Liu looked relaxed and was about to open the door in front of him. With a click, the door slowly opened. The next second, an ominous premonition hit my heart, and a terrifying aura suddenly filled the entire experimental base. Liu turned around and ran away without any hesitation. He didn't even have time to take the elevator. Like lightning, Normal rushed up to the first floor and was out of the door. Bang bang bang. Continuous explosions came from behind, and before he had time to rejoice, he felt a rush of hot air coming from behind. Snap. Liu was hit by the heat wave and fell to the ground. But the ominous premonition not only did not disappear, but also intensified. Liu ignored his injuries and quickly moved away. He ran very fast and was more than 10 meters away in an instant. Really? Just took 2 steps. There was a huge boom. Immediately afterwards, the roof of the Lin family's experimental area was completely crushed into powder by the explosion, and cracks were all over the walls around the building. Click click click. The cracks are still spreading, crawling over the 10-meter-high building like a spider web. Boom. 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 The 3 drums buzzed, as if coming from the bottom of people's hearts, as if they had the power to control people's hearts, and it was inexplicably shocking. The patrols on the periphery were stunned and didn't even have time to escape. The 7 or 8 people closest to them were just shocked and lost consciousness. Only the captain responded quickly. His pupils shrank, a flash of panic flashed in his eyes, and then he yelled at the top of his lungs, "Get back and leave the experimental base." His voice woke the few survivors. Everyone was so frightened that they wished they could grow 8 legs and run for their lives. At this time, a sudden change occurred. Boom. There was a big hole in the roof of the base, and a white and purple humanoid Pokemon rose into the sky. There was a big hole in the roof of the base, and a white and purple humanoid Pokemon rose into the sky. It was suspended in the air. Lengao's eyes opened, and the invisible pressure was instantly released, suppressing the Pokemon on the patrol and unable to move. One by one, they were trembling on the ground and whimpering. Liu looked in shock, completely stunned, his heart beating loudly, and uncontrollable blood rushing to his head. He actually saw Mewtwo. But before Liu could be excited for long, the fortifications outside the building suddenly activated. Dozens of strange machines with black disk devices embedded at the bottom rose abruptly from the wall. The next second, the sizzling high-temperature current swirled around, and finally converged into a giant pillar of current, suddenly attacking in the direction of Mewtwo. Liu's heart tightened for a second. Mewtwo's expression didn't waver at all, and he was strangely calm. However, if someone gets 1 meter closer to it, they will find that the seemingly calm Mewtwo seems to be holding back something, with pain and confusion in his eyes. However, its movement is not affected at all. It raised its arm and aimed one hand at the incoming giant pillar of electricity. Almost instantly, extremely powerful blue light condensed. Boom. Like a cannonball, psychic charged directly towards him. The current and psychic squeezed each other, with equal power, causing ripples in the air. As the light beams collided, the already precarious experimental base began to shake. With Mewtwo at the center, the base cracks from the ground up to the top floor. As the aftermath of the collision swept away, the building suddenly turned into powder and dissipated into the world, as if normal had never existed. Liu was also affected and passed out. A few minutes later, he woke up from the violent roar and found that the entire experimental area in front of him was turned upside down and in ruins. It's completely gone from its previous majesty. And Mewtwo has long since disappeared. He didn't hesitate, passed over the twisted people around him who didn't know whether they were fainted or dead, and headed straight in one direction. After gaining the power of Viridian, Liu has the ability to listen to the hearts of Pokemon. Therefore, he heard a painful sound coming from the forest. Liu walked towards the direction of the sound. After seeing the Pokemon on the ground clearly, I suddenly felt like I was lucky. It's Mewtwo who's passed out on the ground. He had just been exposed to the energy of dozens of machines, but he was still injured, and his originally bright white skin turned black. It fainted and seemed to be still having a nightmare, with a slight amount of energy escaping from its body. This is. Liu frowned slightly. The next second. Then he saw a bright green light gradually condensing in his hand. The moment the green light group appeared, Mewtwo's energy suddenly stopped dissipating, and the green light group also floated to its sky. Then, the light group turned into a thin film, covering Mewtwo's body. Huh. Liu looked surprised. His Viridian power sensed that compared to the physical damage, Mewtwo's mental contest condition was worse. Like a colander, there are holes everywhere, and it looks extremely difficult to repair. I don't know what happened. Liu rolled his eyes, and his previous thoughts emerged again. The brave ones are exhausted, and the timid ones are starved to death. Now Mewtwo is injured, and its spirit contest condition cannot be revived in a short time. And only you can save yourself. If he surrenders now. Without saying a word, Liu threw an Ultra Ball. In the blink of an eye, the light flashed, and Mewtwo's figure disappeared. The Ultra Ball moved a few times and then stopped moving. Drop. Congratulations to the host for conquering Mewtwo, determining Mewtwo's qualifications as a divine beast, and establishing intimacy +60. Closing square bracket. The corners of Liu's mouth were slightly hooked. Relax. The conquest was really successful. Reaching 60 intimacy level can also make Mewtwo rely on and trust him. I have to say, he did get a big bargain. After all, the only Pokeball he got from signing up before was the Ultra Ball. As for Mewtwo, a mythical beast, only the Master Ball can truly conquer it under the smelling salts contest condition. Fortunately, it was already unconscious, otherwise trying to conquer Mewtwo would be nothing more than a dream. Shish. Liu whistled and walked towards the exit of Lin Zidao in a relaxed mood. The mysterious Pokemon destroys the Linji Island experimental base. The Lin family's largest base was destroyed, the heir is unconscious, and the mysterious Pokemon is missing. The Lin family's secret experiment was revealed, and the strongest genetic Pokemon was born. The consequences of illegal experiments. Will the Lin family be destroyed? Today's live broadcast at 7 o'clock will show you the Lin family's industry. 7 o'clock in the evening. As soon as the news of the bombing of the Lin family experimental base came out, it quickly topped the list of hot searches. There are countless marketing consequences, endless speculations, and the eyes of the people who eat melons are widened in shock. This time period has a huge flow of people, and the news is extremely sensational. As a result, there were tens of thousands of comments instantly. The Lin family. Is it the Lin family in the magical capital that I know? Quote question mark question mark question mark quote. Isn't it? Who dares to attack the Lin family? Didn't they say that they would release major experimental results some time ago? Tisk, tisk, I'm just wondering why they built so many experimental bases. It turns out it's against the rules, and they're really going to suffer the consequences. Am I the only one who wants to know where the mysterious Pokemon went? Liu breathed a sigh of relief after looking at the news online. It seems that the Lin family has suffered a heavy loss. Otherwise, there would be no news until now. It would be convenient for me. Liu was thoughtful. After returning to the Magic City, he has been waiting for news. Now knowing that their situation was not good, he had his next move. Head to the Pokemon Center. Today's Aquamarine is very advanced in life technology due to the birth of Pokemon, such as space backpacks, Pokemon medical treatment equipment, etc. The Pokemon Center has professional equipment that can enhance the continuous effect of his Viridian power and extend its use time. Otherwise, with his current abilities, it would be too difficult to heal Mewtwo on his own. But before that, there's one more thing. He wants to use up the random lottery opportunity he got before. System, start the lottery. During the random lottery. Congratulations to the host for getting, Gible. Closing square bracket. Quasi-god Pokemon. Li Yu exclaimed. The words fell. The Pokemon appeared with the light. Its whole body is wrapped in dark blue, with a huge dorsal fin on the top of its head. Only its lower jaw to its abdomen are red, and it looks like a young shark. After the light dissipated, he was held in Li Yu's arms. He looked down at Gible. At the same time, the detection technique obtained from the previous 2-star sign-in is also directly activated. Pokemon. Gible. Closing square bracket. Qualification. Elite level. Closing square bracket. Level. Level 1. Closing square bracket. Ability. Sand hidden. In sandstorm weather, the dodge probability is increased by 20% without losing physical strength. Attribute. Dragon, ground. Skills. Tackle, sand attack, sand tomb. Closing square bracket. Combat power value. 100. Li Yu was even happier after reading Gible's message. This Gible's qualifications actually surpassed that of a quasi-god and reached the elite level. This shows that it is stronger than the normal quasi-god Pokemon. And it is indeed an elite level qualification. The combat power value reaches 100 as soon as it is born, which can only be achieved by ordinary Pokemon at level 10. Gible rubbed Li Yu's chest affectionately and screamed happily. Li Yu smiled. It would be a long night with many dreams, so he took advantage of the darkness and carried Gible to the Pokemon Center. His parents passed away, and the only thing left behind was an apartment in the center of Shanghai. However, the original person has a withdrawn character and does not interact with others very much. Teacher's classmate also doesn't know the original person. Moreover, there is only 1 week left until the graduation exam, and everyone is busy strengthening their strength and reviewing. This is also convenient for Li Yu. Standing outside the glass door, in front of you is a majestic and neat building complex, with 6 characters written on the top, Magic City Pokemon Center. Compared with some third-tier cities, the Magic City Pokemon Center obviously needs to be built much more spectacularly, with a huge flow of people. It is not just a building, but a trading center with the Pokemon Center as its core. People are coming and going, and you can see people walking around with some small Pokemon, such as Oddish, Eevee, Persian. This is also one of the symbolic buildings of the Magic City. In today's era, Pokemon has been integrated into people's lives, and they can be seen everywhere. On the right side of the Pokemon Center is a special rental industry, with the words, Didi Toros, and Feifei Pedigiato, shining in the night. But the most eye-catching thing is a pure white eggshell standing in front of the building complex. There was a small hole in the pure white eggshell, and the surface was uneven, as if a Pokemon was about to shell smash out. It is said that there is this sign in front of the Pokemon Center in every city. Li Yu glanced lightly and walked into the door. Drop. Closing square bracket. Sign in location. Magic City Pokemon Center. Closing square bracket. Hey, check-in at Samsung location was successful. Closing square bracket. Congratulations to the host for receiving the reward, the Energy Cube making machine. Closing square bracket. Manufacturing machine, Energy Cube, adding tree fruits of different types and qualities will generate energy cubes of corresponding quality to supplement the energy required by Pokemon. Closing square bracket. Making machine. Li Yu's eyes widened. He didn't expect that the Pokemon Center was not only a 3-star check-in location, but also gave him such a good reward. This reward came just in time. He had not conquered Pokemon before, and the 100,000 he received from signing in was still enough. But it's completely different once you capture Pokemon. Just providing the energy cubes that Pokemon needs every day is a huge expense. Therefore, prospective elite trainers often come from well-established families. Ordinary people have to work hard and save money even if they support a Pokemon with middle-level qualifications. The manufacturing machine can be said to have delivered a pillow for sleep. You know, energy cubes are a real luxury product compared to ordinary Pokemon food. He could hardly wait to use the manufacturing machine. However, looking at the people coming and going in the lobby on the first floor, I still reluctantly suppressed this idea. The Pokemon Center has 3 floors. The first floor is the lobby. Once you enter, you will see the counter window with an unobstructed view. The electronic screen above the counter is constantly refreshing information. Even at night the hall was very uproar with people coming and going. At this time, Rollout crossed the words on the electronic screen. Recruiting teammates for the Silver Secret Realm assessment requires flying Pokemon. The high-level trainer assessment will begin at 10 o'clock tomorrow. Please prepare in advance. Lin spends a lot of money to find mysterious Pokemon. The attribute is psychic and its strength is no less than that of a quasi-god. If you have any clues, please dial 1 ***** and you will be greatly thanked. Li Yu looked up and saw the last one, eyes narrowed slightly. The Lin family was indeed taking action, but perhaps the experiment was too confidential. Except for the heir of the Lin family he met that day, no one else knew anything about Mewtwo. The only message is psychic type. This would be of great benefit to him. At least there's no need to be secretive. After all, although the Lin family's experimental base was destroyed, a starved camel was bigger than a horse and was still a threat to him. The secret realm assessment mentioned on the electronic screen is also an important way for trainers to improve their strength as soon as possible and obtain resources. According to the level of the secret realm, it is divided into 6 levels: Tetsu, Bronze, Silver, Gold, Diamond, and King level. However, most trainers are middle level and high level, and there are only a few who have reached the elite level and can assess alliance prosecutors. The entry barrier to the Golden Secret Realm is the elite trainer. As for the King level Secret Realm, there is currently only one Dragon Kingdom, which is strictly controlled by the state. The levels of trainer from bottom to top are beginner, middle level, high level, elite, gym leader, quasi-elite, elite, and champion. Champions and above have not yet been determined and are collectively referred to as masters. After all, a trainer that can conquer mythical beasts has never appeared in public perception. If an ordinary trainer can conquer a Usangia, he is extremely lucky. Li Yu went directly to the second floor without staying in the lobby. Above the second floor is the hospital. There is also a registration window here, and the trainer needs to register based on the Pokemon's injury level. He walked to window 10. Window number 1 is an emergency room and is treating endangered Pokemon. Their lives are at stake. The window he went to provided rental equipment and rooms. Compared with the previous windows, no one showed up at window 10, and the staff inside were also in a daze of boredom. It wasn't until Li Yu walked in front of her that the girl slowly raised her head. After seeing the boy's appearance clearly, the staff member's cheeks turned red. Hello. What do you need? I would like to rent treatment equipment and rooms. Okay. After typing on the screen with a red face, the staff handed over a card from behind the counter. This is your room 016. You can reach it by turning right from the front. Okay, thank you. After Li Yu paid the rental fee of 1,000, he followed the staff's instructions and arrived at the door of room 016. Behind him, many trainers looked at Li Yu's back in surprise and said hoot hoot. Is he going to heal the Pokemon himself? Young people are so brave. There is still a lack of social polish. There was a D sound. Swipe through. Li Yu entered the room. It looked much bigger from the outside, with various instruments. He excitedly took out the manufacturing machine he had just been awarded. Then throw the 2 green Salak berry obtained by signing in before into the machine. Buzz buzz. The machine roared. After a minute, the shaking finally stopped. The lid above slowly opened, and a very attractive aroma wafted out. Supreme grade quality energy cubes. Li Yu couldn't help but exclaimed. This kind of quality is simply not found in the world and is hard to find for $1,000. You know, middle grade energy cubes can sell for 10,000. He was looking at 2 energy cubes when a growl whined suddenly from the soles of his feet. Looking down, he couldn't help but smile. Gibble was looking at him eagerly. Li Yu took out one of the pieces and gave it to Gibble. Gibble held the crystal clear energy cube in his hands, his eyes sparkling, and he bit it in one bite. My mouth is drooling on it. Li Yu smiled, let it eat slowly, and then walked towards an instrument with a helmet and bracelet. Stand still in front of the bed. With a bang, the Ultra Ball opened, and an unconscious Mewtwo appeared on the bed. His eyes were closed, still in pain. Li Yu put the helmet on Mewtwo, attached the patch, and also put on the bracelet himself. Next moment, a vibrant force slowly surged towards Mewtwo, washing away its celestic body. A vibrant force slowly surged towards Mewtwo, washing away its celestic body. Visibly, Mewtwo's body began to relax. The charred blackness on his body also disappeared, returning to its original crystal white color, and the wounds on his wrists and chest gradually healed. Sweat gradually slid down Li Yu's face. He frowned. Rather than the physical damage, the next thing that matters is that he wants to heal Mewtwo's mental contest condition. Following the instrument, Li Yu slowly probed into Mewtwo's mind. At this time, its mental power is like a funnel whirlpool, constantly escaping psychic outwards, making it extremely weak. He controlled the green light spots to cover each funnel vortex. After the light spots cover it, the vortex slows down, the opening of the funnel is slowly filled, and the energy no longer escapes. 5 minutes later, Li Yu was sweating profusely and his clothes were soaked. Call. He breathed a sigh of relief. At the same time, Mewtwo opened his eyes on the bed. The purple eyes are like the most dazzling gems, as if they can suck people in. The pressure of the divine beast suddenly came. Gible, who was originally eating energy cubes with great interest, tensed up and subconsciously stood in front of Li Yu. Roar. It looked at Mewtwo on the bed and roared with hostility. But his body was shaking a little, and he was obviously struggling to hold on, feeling very scared inside. Mewtwo heard the sound, and the divine beast's momentum dropped. It seemed to be aware of the situation at this time, and its eyes were filled with mist-like confusion. Seeing this, Li Yu patted Gible comfortingly, and felt a sense of warmth in his heart. Mewtwo stood up and looked at Li Yu with disbelief. Because of that 60 degree of intimacy, there seemed to be a hint of dependence deep in Mewtwo's eyes. Mewtwo was extremely shocked. The moment he was created, his heart was filled with destructive emotions, and he wished that everything he saw in front of him would disappear. Even if he dies, it doesn't matter. At the moment when it passed out, it vaguely felt a warm power rushing towards it. And just now, this power appeared again. It saves itself. Mewtwo smelling salts realizes this. If it weren't for the person in front of it, it would have suffered a nervous breakdown. Thank you. It took a deep look at Li Yu and opened its mouth to speak. Li Yu is not surprised that it can talk. Mewtwo is the artificial Pokémon with the strongest genes, and it can also talk in the original work. On the contrary, Gible has a big mouth. I didn't expect this strange humanoid Pokémon to be able to speak human words. After the divine beast's momentum subsided, Gible became less afraid of it and approached with some curiosity. It stretched out its right paw and quietly poked Mewtwo's leg. Mewtwo glanced at it briefly, but had no other reaction. Watching the interaction between the two Pokémon, Li Yu's last worries were put aside. Exploration is activated. Pokémon. Mewtwo, Spirit Recovery 10%. Closing square bracket. Qualification. Level 2 God. Closing square bracket. Level 40. Closing square bracket. Ability. Sense of oppression, gives rival a sense of oppression, reduces the number of times rival uses skills, and has a certain chance of making it unable to use skills. Closing square bracket. Attribute. Psychic. Skills. Laser focus, confusion, disable, swift, life dew, ancient power, psycho cut, safeguard, amnesia, aura sphere. Closing square bracket. Combat power value. 6,000 recovering. 6,000 combat power value. Li Yu was stunned, and then burst into ecstasy. He knew Mewtwo was strong, but he didn't expect it to be so strong. It was so incredible. Combat power value is an important factor in evaluating trainer level. 0 to 80 is the junior trainer, 90 to 200 is the middle level, 200 to 400 is the high level, 400 to 800 is the elite, and 800-1000 is the gym leader level. 1000-2000 is a quasi-god, and above 2000 is an elite. As for the championship, you have to win the elite competition in the Diamond Secret Realm. The average comprehensive combat power value ranges from 4000 to 5000. Unfortunately, Mewtwo's mental contest condition was still severely damaged, and Liu only stopped its energy from escaping. It can only be repaired slowly. Therefore, it is naturally impossible to fully exert the combat power, which is currently only about 600. But Liu doesn't feel it's a pity. Mewtwo has now recovered to 10%, and full recovery is just around the corner. Liu gave Mewtwo the remaining Supreme Grade Energy Cube in his hand. Mewtwo obviously smelled the fragrance, and when he was about to eat the delicious food, he gave up the reserve of the mythical beast and swallowed it in one gulp. I saw it squinting its eyes in enjoyment, and its body was glowing with fluorescence. Subsequently, Liu was surprised to find that Mewtwo's recovery speed increased by 2%. At the same time, Gibble also happily finished the last bite of the energy cube. Drop. Gibble's level has been increased to level 6. Closing square bracket. As expected of supreme grade quality. Liu sighed. Gibble's qualifications have reached elite, so upgrading is much more difficult than ordinary Pokemon, but the Supreme Grade Energy Cube has jumped to 6 levels in one fell swoop. Jingle bell. Suddenly a bell rang. Brother Lee. Came a clear female voice like an oriole. You finally answered my call. The female voice sounded like an accusation, but it was actually charm. Xiao I just came back. Liu was a little helpless. How are you preparing for the graduation exam? Not bad. Hearing Liu's seemingly perfunctory tone, Xiao I pouted and suddenly became angry. The graduation exam determines Pokemon University. Brother Lee, you can't take it seriously. Otherwise, I will supervise you now. Okay, I know you are worried about me, and I know it. Liu comforted Xiao I opposite him with a gentle voice. At first glance, Xiao I on the other end of the phone had a blush on her cheeks, which spread to her ears, and she touched the corner of her clothes uncomfortably. Then he snorted proudly, but he hesitated and couldn't say anything. By the way, Brother Lee, I want to go to the battle club to train. Do you want to come with me? Club. The one near the Pokemon Center. Xiao Ai's voice was excited and he nodded like a pound of garlic. But when he remembered that Liu couldn't be seen on the other side of the phone, he stopped. Liu pondered for a while and then said, okay, I'll go with you. Yeah. Xiao Ai screamed in surprise, and then she realized that her voice had been heard. See you soon. After saying this hastily, she hung up immediately. Dajuadu. Liu looked at the phone and laughed dumbly. Xiao Ai's full name is Li Az, and he is the neighbor living on his right. The original person didn't go out much before, but Liu always ran out and would bump into Xiao Ai every time, so they became familiar with her. He and Xiao Ai are similar in age. The other party also graduated from high school this year and took the exam for Pokemon University. After returning the key card, Liu left the Pokemon Center. After buying a Pokeball Gibble from a nearby store, I went to the club on the other side. As the name suggests, the club is a place for trainers to practice. You can also earn bonuses here. In order to get the sign-in reward, he originally planned to go to the battle club, but after Xiao Ai's invitation, he took advantage of the opportunity and came along. Compared to the Pokemon Center, the battle club is underground and has a more lively atmosphere. As soon as I entered, I heard a group of people cheering. Drop. Closing square bracket. Sign-in location. Magic City Battle Club Arena area. Closing square bracket. Hey, check-in at the 2-star location was successful. Closing square bracket. Congratulations to the host for getting the reward, 10 times experience card 1 week. Closing square bracket. Congratulations to the host for receiving the reward, 10 times the experience card. Closing square bracket. Liu raised a smile on his lips and walked towards the direction where the crowd gathered. Come on Bulbasaur, whip it with Vine Whip. Don't be a coward, Froakie, just do it. Who put the poison gas? It stinks like hell. Ha 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 ha. Gloom knocked out Oddish and his trainer and made them foam at the mouth. It made me laugh so hard. Come on. The atmosphere in the fighting club was in full swing, with cheers and cheers coming one after another, and everyone was as excited as a chicken. Liu raised his eyebrows and walked into the audience. There are 2 arenas on the stage. After Gloom and Oddish finished competing, only one arena was left to compete. The 2 parties are none other than Froakie and Bulbasaur. The audience in the stands were very excited as they were both Pokemon from the Yusan family. After all, Pokemon from the Yusan family were rare. Now there are two at once, which is quite eye-catching. The number of people in the stands was 2 to 3 times that of before, with a slight number of 4 to 500 people. It can only be said that the Battle Club occupies a large ground and can accommodate thousands of people. The two trainers were shouting and blushing, and they were coming and going. One moment, the arena was filled with bubbles, and the next moment, the sky was filled with flying leaves. The audience was dazzled. Whenever the side he supports gains the upper hand, he shouts excitedly. When you lose slightly, you sigh with regret. The big screen in the ring clearly displayed the odds between the two sides, and now Froakies was obviously higher. Li Yu is not surprised that the grass type restrains the water type. After watching it for a minute, he also scanned the QR code on his seat and placed his bet on Bulbasaur. Although Froakie has higher odds and will win more money if he wins, judging from the situation on the field, Bulbasaur is still the leader. Ding. 500 payment successful. Closing square bracket. Brother Lee, who did you choose? At this moment, the familiar fragrant fragrance came from his side, and Li Yu turned his head. An outstandingly beautiful girl bent down and looked at him curiously. She had a pair of bright eyes, clear and clear. Seeing Li Yu turn around, he couldn't help but smile. His eyes were curved like crescent moons, and his elegant and graceful temperament was revealed for no reason between his frown and his smile. Xiao Ai. Brother Li, why are you here? I've been waiting for you in the training area. As Li Az spoke, his fair and tender cheeks bulged, making people want to pinch him. I want to participate in the ring competition, so come over and have a look. Li Yu's face didn't turn red when he said this, and his heart didn't beat. He couldn't say that he was infected by the atmosphere and forgot about her as soon as he entered here. Ah! Xiao Ai covered her mouth in surprise, and her attention was diverted as expected. Brother Li, do you have the Earl Dervish Pokemon? Li Yu nodded. He didn't lie, he did have the idea of fighting in the ring. Actual combat is an important way to improve strength. And you can win money in the competition, so why not? Xiao Ai was a little confused and worried when he heard this. Brother Li, you have just conquered Pokemon. Why not go to the training area to train for a few days before going into actual combat? Her original intention of calling Li Yu was that they would go to the club's training area together, but she didn't expect that this was his purpose. How can anyone participate in an arena competition just after capturing Pokemon? Do not worry. After Li Yu finished speaking, he glanced at the stage. The referee promptly announced the result of the game. Congratulations to Bulbasaur for winning. There was a ding on the wrist. Battle Club transferred 1,000. Closing square bracket. I'll treat you to dinner later. Li Yu was in a good mood, paid the ticket, and then got up and headed to the registration point. Seeing that Li Yu had already made his decision, Xiao Ai stopped trying to dissuade him. He just followed him with a hint of sadness in his eyes. For 10 consecutive matches, the bonus is 20,000. Li Yu was immediately interested after listening to the introduction by the staff at the registration office. According to the rules of the club, after successfully challenging the original champion, as long as you successfully defend the ring and win 10 games in a row, you will receive a bonus of 20,000 and become a VIP member of the club. VIP members enjoy 50% discount on club products. Registration and ticket fees are free. I want to sign up and compete as soon as possible. He made a prompt decision. In addition to the training area and the ring area, the club also has an area dedicated to selling skill chips. In the Magic City Building Mall, a tackle skill is sold for 1,500, with a 50% discount on Captivate, which is not a small deal for Li Yu. The reward of 100,000 yuan he received for signing in was less than 30,000 yuan. Li Az hesitated to speak behind him. It sounds like the rewards for the challenger are quite generous, but efforts are linked to rewards. It sounds easy to defend the challenge for 10 games, but only a small number of people succeed. If you fail in one round, all your efforts will be wasted. The match between Froakie and Bulbasaur just now was just a normal battle, not a challenge to the champion. Li Az's worried look grew stronger, and his eyes as bright as stars seemed to be condensed with a layer of water. Li Yu was sitting peacefully in the waiting area. Use the 10 times experience card. The next second, the card turned into a white ball of light and melted into the Pokeball containing Gible. Dip. The 10 times experience effect is activated. Closing square bracket. 5 minutes later, the arena match is announced to begin. The audience who were about to leave immediately sat down. Who wants to challenge the challenger? I remember the challenger in the last issue was Brother Sean. Brother Sean. That's terrible for rival. Ha ha ha, I want to see who can't think of it. I want to challenge Brother Sean. Didn't you look at the leader list? It's about to start. Stop beeping. As soon as he finished speaking, the referee called out the 2 players. Amid the enthusiastic cheers of the audience, a strong man named Sean J appeared. Then, the audience stared wide-eyed at the other side of the ring. Under the watchful eyes of 400 to 500 people, Liu slowly walked onto the stage. After a second of silence, a burst of boos erupted in an instant, which was in sharp contrast to what he had just said. No, that's it. TCH, what's so interesting about this? I thought it was really a similar level. Let's go, it's really boring, wasting my ticket money. Listening to these ridicules, Liazy's heart tightened in the audience, but he could not refute, so he could only look at Liu intently. The man named Brother Sean looked Liu up and down, the interest in his eyes disappeared, and he waved his hand in disappointment. Kid, I don't have time to play house with you. You should just admit defeat now to avoid having to pay for treatment. Why don't you start yet? Liu looked calm and spoke directly to the referee. The referee was stunned for a moment, feeling surprised. This was the first time he saw someone seeking death. Then he waved a small flag and announced the start of the game. Haha, don't cry for a while. Brother Sean laughed angrily when he heard this. With a wave of his hand, a sturdy Sandshrew appeared in front of him. When the audience saw the familiar Sandshrew, they immediately started cheering. The odds of both sides displayed on the big screen have reached 10 to 1. It can be said to be the game with the highest odds in recent times. Liu glanced at the top of his head with a look of pity. The club stipulates that players cannot bet, otherwise he will make a lot of money this time. I'm afraid you'll cry and call daddy later. Suddenly, a Pokeball was thrown. After the light dissipates, a shark-like Pokemon appears in front of everyone's eyes. Gible. Garchomp's Earl Dervish form. The referee couldn't help but exclaimed in disbelief. When he read out his name, a look of astonishment flashed across the faces of the audience who were originally unaware. There was a commotion in the audience. Gible doesn't know many trainers, since they are very rare to see, but most of them have heard of Garchomp. This is one of the most awesome quasi-gods. A dual-type Pokemon with extremely rare Dragon-type and Ground-type. Not to mention seeing him, few people have heard of him, and everyone has a look on their face. Liazy's beautiful eyes widened and her little hands clenched tightly. She looked at the exceptionally handsome young man on the stage, but her heart was beating strangely. Brother Sean, who was opposite him, froze on the spot, and a chill instantly surged down his back. Goosebumps appeared. How could it be? He murmured in disbelief, feeling a little dazed. This is exciting. This is my first time seeing a quasi-god Pokemon. Not necessarily, it's just that in Earl Dervish form, Brother Sean has been the ringleader for a week. The comments from the audience reached Brother Sean's ears. He was shocked and immediately came out of his trance. That's right, don't panic now. Sandshrew, roll out tackle. Upon hearing the command, Sandshrew immediately contracted his limbs, curled up into a ball, and rolled towards Gible with maximum strength. Liu narrowed his eyes. Go head to head, Gible, tackle. Next moment, Gible's eyelids lowered slightly to block the fierce light flashing in his eyes, his limbs slightly bent, his feet kicked hard, and his body shot out like an arrow from a string. Its explosive power is astonishing, and it does not lose the reputation of the ultimate form of the Sand Emperor, Garchomp. The two collide. The air was stagnant for a second. Bang! Under the gaze of hundreds of people, Sandshrew was knocked into the air, forming a parabola and hitting the ground. A gap instantly opened in the arena ground. On the other hand, Gible stood motionless on the field, looking down at his defeated opponent with so much momentum. The situation is clear at a glance. Hiss. Everyone in the audience couldn't help but take a breath. Sandshrew, get up. Brother Sean shouted heartbrokenly, clutching his chest and almost out of breath. Sandshrew seemed to hear his master's voice in a trance, and his limbs twitched a few times, trying to stand up. Aren't you going to admit defeat yet? Li Yu's cold voice sounded like a death sentence. Brother Sean gritted his teeth and tightened his cheeks, but he still refused to admit defeat. At this moment, he really had the urge to call daddy. As long as you can let him go. He defended the ring for a week, but he didn't expect the moment of failure to come so quickly. It's just a move, why? He doesn't want to accept it. Li Yu didn't know what was going on in Brother Sean's mind, but he liked quick decisions, so he gave the last order. Gibble, Sand Tomb. Sandshrew had just stood up, but his body was still swaying unsteadily. Suddenly his feet went soft and he felt like he was slowly sinking. It looked down and found that the arena had been covered in yellow sand at some point. And he was stuck in quicksand. Creak. Brother Sean stepped on the ground and was stunned for a second. He quickly shouted heartbrokenly, I give up, I give up. As soon as he finished speaking, Gibble took back the yellow sand covered by ground. One person and one Pokemon stood there, looking exactly the same in difference, but their extremely powerful strength was dazzling. The referee woke up at this moment, jumped onto the ring, and shouted, Congratulations to Gibble for winning, the challenge is successful. This sound woke up 400 to 500 people in the stands. Everyone was silent for a while, and then the sound of discussion suddenly erupted like a swarm of bees flying into the sky. Crush the game. This arena match is so worth it. The 100 tickets are for nothing. Oh my god, it turns out this is the power of the quasi-god Pokemon. Dang, that guy is so handsome. Nice, brother. From this moment on, Li Yu's name began to enter the audience's field of vision. Li Az in the audience had tears in his eyes, his heart was surging and he couldn't control himself. The seed that was originally buried deep in his heart grew into a towering tree in an instant. With just one move, Li Yu proved his strength. Become the champion. Brother Sean fell down on the ring in despair, and was finally helped down by his companions. There was still a lot of sand on the back of his clothes. Congratulations to the host for winning the first battle, the 10 times experience is activated, and the Gibble level is raised to level 9. Closing square bracket. Good. Li Yu smiled for the first time after the game started. Under the contest condition with 10 times the experience, the level increased rapidly. In just one game, he was promoted to 3 levels. Li Yu has become the new champion. There are 10 minutes to sign up to challenge the new champion. The referee excitedly picked up the microphone and announced. As soon as the words fell, the auditorium was filled with people, and they all rushed towards the registration point. Seeing this, Li Yu was stunned for a moment. Is it because everyone loves difficult challenges? He was puzzled, but everyone's ideas were surprisingly simple. Nonsense. Although Rishon is powerful, how can you usually see a small club of quasi-god Pokemon? Even if you get beaten, it's worth it. That's right. They come up to contribute to performance and lend a helping hand to Li Yu. Sit firmly in the position of challenger. If Li Yu knew the inner thoughts of the audience, he would definitely not know whether to laugh or cry. Li Shen, choose me. Go away, your Caterpie still has the nerve to show off. He's not afraid of being embarrassed if he stands with Gibble. Bah, it's none of your business, how good is your Magikarp? The manager of the club received the news and rushed over. Before he could flatter Li Yu, he heard a loud quarrel at the registration desk and hurried over to stop it. Ahem, everyone, calm down, first come, first served. As soon as the club manager took action, the scene instantly became quiet. Everyone hurriedly ran to queue up to sign up, not daring to waste time arguing. Puff. Seeing Li Yu's speechless expression, Li Az laughed out loud, with 2 dimples looming. Li Yu originally just looked helplessly. After discovering the dimple, he felt itchy and couldn't help but poke it. After poking, he was stunned by the soft feeling on his hand. Li Az's little face turned red immediately, and his head was about to get angry. The atmosphere between the two suddenly became extremely ambiguous. The break is over, welcome the next challenger to the stage. The referee's voice interrupted the atmosphere between the two. Li Yu turned around and saw a young man with yellow hair standing on the stage, eager to try. Li Shen, come quickly. The young man jumped up and down excitedly, but Li Yu's expression did not change. Mosquito repellent frog, Use water gun. The yellow-haired young man is still confident. Water can restrain ground. Maybe he will win. Gibble, sand attack. Li Yu remained calm in the face of the restrained attribute and gave a calm command. Hearing this, Gibble raised his paw, and a small storm vortex suddenly swept away all the sand in sight. The water gun is completely submerged in the small sandstorm, which just adds a little humidity and makes some of it flow like muddy water. The offensive continues unabated. Sandstorm roared past, leaving the mosquito-repellent frog lying on the ground with its eyes dizzy and losing its ability to fight. 10 times the experience is opening. Gibble level has been raised to level 9. Closing square bracket. 10 times the experience is opening. Gibble level has been raised to level 12. Trigger new skill, Dragon Breath. Closing square bracket. 10 times experience is opening. Gibble level has been raised to level 17. Closing square bracket. After the last Weedle fell to the ground, the referee shouted, "Congratulations to the champion Li Yu for successfully defending the ring and winning 10 games in a row." His voice was trembling. The club manager who was watching smiled with a smile on his face. The stronger the champion, the better it is for the club. There was even a celebrity champion in Beijing. The moment he saw Li Yu, the club manager had the same thought in his mind. In the audience, there was sparse applause at first, then more and more, the sound became louder and louder, and finally turned into a tsunami of sound, sweeping the entire audience. Li Shen. Li Shen. Li Shen. Under the overwhelming cheers, this name resounded throughout the battle club for a long time. After Li Yu left, the audience still refused to leave. It's so strong, this is a genius. Win 10 games in a row in an hour. I have been in the club for a year and I have never seen such a fun battle. The rush of blood and brain during competition indirectly inspired many trainers and gave them a goal to strive for. Ding! Modu Bank reminds you that the card number ending in 9562 will be credited to 20,000. Closing square bracket. Looking at the information on the electronic screen, Li Yu's eyes filled with a touch of joy. This trip to the club was well worth it. Xiao Ai, let's go to the training area together. Their original purpose was to conduct special training, and Li Yu still had an idea that needed to be verified, so he was not ready to leave just yet. Li Az nodded obediently and occasionally glanced at Li Yu beside him. Her cheeks were red and she didn't know what she was thinking. The two of them just took steps. God Li, wait. Li Yu turned around and happened to see the pot-bellied club manager running towards him, panting. What's up? Who? Ho. Li Shen, this is our VIP member card. You forgot to take it. Li Yu took the card. The card is black, with a faint layer of golden light floating around, making it low-key and luxurious. Li Shen, are you interested in joining us? The club manager finally said the purpose of his visit. Li Yu was stunned. 2 trainers passing by accidentally heard it and couldn't walk. Wow, they're inviting Li Shen to join the club. That's great. The Magic City Club has extremely rich resources, and the elite trainer Electric Man was picked up by them. The electric boy who rose to fame in the novice competition. Yes, it seems that the Magic City Club can add another general. Oh, I'm so sore. The conversation between the two people reached the ears of several people. When the club manager heard this, he immediately puffed up his chest proudly. The club will specially train its own trainers. If you are successful in defending the competition, you can directly receive the club's share and even become the owner of this place. His tone was full of bewitching, expressing that all resources would be tilted towards Li Yu, allowing him to quickly grow into a powerful trainer. It is difficult for ordinary people not to be tempted when hearing this condition. The 2 trainers had just finished listening, their expressions were extremely excited, their hands clenched into fists, and they looked even more nervous than the people involved. There are still conditions. Li Yu Fengqingyan replied calmly, there is no such thing as a free lunch. The club manager, who was still talking non-stop, felt a little embarrassed. Ahem, you are indeed the god of Li. We do have the conditions. If you join the club, you will naturally become a member of the club. The unfinished meaning of his words was understood by everyone present. Once you join the club, you are completely bound to it. Although you don't have to worry about resources and expenses, your freedom no longer exists. It's natural to help the club play games every day. Li Yu refused without hesitation. He's not that short of money yet. The manager felt a little pity, but still smiled like a spring breeze. After hearing that the two were going to the training area, he took the initiative to take them to choose a room. The disbelief on the faces of the two trainers did not fade away after the three of them left. They couldn't believe that Li Yu didn't even hesitate when he was so captivated. The two looked at each other, and one of them said, "Geniuses are really different from us." The other person nodded seriously. Indeed. They both sighed at the same time. Brush. If you swipe your VIP card, the fee is free. The electronic door opens. Drop. Closing square bracket. Sign in location. Magic City Battle Club training area. Closing square bracket. Hey, check-in at the 2-star location was successful. Closing square bracket. Congratulations to the host for receiving the reward, express. Share. Closing square bracket. Li Yu smiled, with a flash of understanding in his eyes. When he entered the club before, he found that the sign in location was in the ring area, which made him suspicious. You can also sign in the training area. It turned out that he was right. Express. Share. After carrying it, you can still share experience without participating in combat. Use it with the skill chip to accelerate the learning effect and quickly improve your skill proficiency. Closing square bracket. Surprise flashed in Li Yu's eyes. With Express. Share, he naturally doesn't have to worry about the massive amount of experience required to level up Pokemon. After all, both Mewtwo and Gible are in great demand for experience. Bang, bang. In a flash of light, two Pokemon appeared in the training room. After thinking for a moment, Li Yu directly gave Express. Share to Gible. The effect of the 10 times experience card is only for 1 week. In an instant, a light flashed across Gible and Mewtwo, proving that the two Pokemon were sharing their experiences. If he captures more Pokemon in the future, the scope of Express Share will be expanded. Only then did he have time to look at the environment in the training room. There are rings hanging above the room for training for flying Pokemon, and there are treadmills and sandbags in the corners for fighting Pokemon. The ground material can be selected before entering the room. The room he chose has a gravel ground to facilitate the use of his skills. In addition, there is a vending machine at the door, with countless skill chips lined up in the vending machine. He stepped forward with interest and saw that he indeed had the dig skill. Li Yu clicks directly, swiping the card and making purchases smoothly. After the discount, the dig skill only costs 1,000. The dragon type is rare, so the skill chips are very few. After Li Yu scanned one of the columns, his eyes widened in surprise. There really is a Dragon Claw skill here. The price is as high as 20,000. It's also 10,000 after discount. Li Yu gritted his teeth and decided to buy it. Plop plop. The chips fell one after another. Li Yu squatted down, opened the package, and took out 2 thumb-sized chips. Gible, come here. Gible walked over with his head wagging, looking very naive. Li Yu squatted down and put Dig's skill chip on Gible's forehead. In the blink of an eye, the chip turned into an earthy yellow light ball and entered Gible's body along his forehead. In the blink of an eye, the chip turned into an earthy yellow light ball and entered Gible's body along his forehead. 10 seconds later, Gible suddenly opened his eyes after closing them tightly. His eyes sparkled. Its blue claws were covered with a layer of khaki, and it pressed towards the ground. The sand and gravel within 1 meter in front of it changed instantly. Just then, Gible made a sudden grab. In an instant, ground was flying, and Gible's claws were like the sharpest drill bits, directly cutting off most of the ground within the range. An entrance leading straight down gradually took shape. That's it. Li Yu nodded with satisfaction and stopped Gible from continuing to dig. After having Express Share, Gible's mastery of skills has skyrocketed. It took some time to adapt to a skill that he had just learned before. Li Yu was deeply aware of this when playing in the ring. But now, this adaptation period has been shortened to almost nothing. Okay, time to try Dragon Claw. Li Yu took a deep breath and put the second chip on Gible's forehead. Under his expectant gaze, the chip turned into a purple light ball and entered Gible's mind. During this process, Gible looked painful and the time extended to 1 minute. In this minute, Li Yu was in great torment. The Dragon Claw skill can only be triggered after level 30, and he is not sure whether Gible can fully master it. But I believe that as long as he learns the basics, it will be enough. Gibble is currently unscrupulous. Ouch. Finally. The chip was fully integrated, and Gibble opened his eyes, feeling very excited as if he had received a precious treasure. Use Dragon Claw. With a command, Gibble opened his sharp claws, a purple halo appeared, and he suddenly swung towards the wall. Smoke and dust are everywhere. Liu lightly fanned with his right hand. After the dust dissipated, he saw 3 scratches half a meter deep on the white wall. When Gibble saw it, he jumped for joy. Liu touched its head, and her thoughts started to change, and the training officially started. A week later. Graduation assessment is about to begin. The Magic City is a little hot in June, but it's not like a blazing fire. Every year, the graduation examination attracts a large number of people to watch, causing traffic to come to a standstill. Therefore, Pokemon troops were stationed in the suburbs early to maintain order. This year, the Bronze Secret Realm in the southeastern district of Magic City was selected as the assessment site for the senior high school students in Magic City. The entrance to the Bronze Secret Realm. It was crowded with anxious candidates and parents. Liu even saw more than a dozen cameras filming the candidates to record the students taking the assessment. There is a large floating screen at the entrance called the scoreboard. During the Secret Realm assessment, you need to defeat Pokemon of different levels to obtain different scores, and the final total score will be used to rank the players. Those with points above the passing line can successfully enter Pokemon University. The higher the points, the more options there are to choose from. Of course, in addition to battles, you can also gain certain points by capturing Pokemon. The amount of points is determined by the Pokemon's qualifications. What is obtained in the secret area belongs to the candidates themselves. However, candidates cannot attack each other and snatch points. After all, most high school seniors only have 1 or 2 Earl Dervish Pokemon, which is not enough to start a battle. It can also be regarded as a protective measure for candidates. Liu heard that after entering Pokemon University, this kind of protection is no longer available. In the secret realm, you need to be careful not only about Pokemon, but also about humans. The difficulty is greatly increased. But even now, it is the first time for senior high school candidates to take the secret realm assessment. Liu stood among them and saw that some people's calves were trembling. The eyes looking toward the entrance were filled with horror. There was a boy in front of Liu, and the sweat on his back had soaked through his shirt. He doubted that he could squeeze out the water. This didn't surprise him. In previous lives, the college entrance examination was also a national event. In Aqua Blue Star, graduation assessment is also a top priority, and it is normal to be nervous. Therefore, the calm Liu is very conspicuous among the candidates. Boss, look at that candidate. The cameraman glanced lightly, his eyes suddenly lit up, and he said in surprise to the production director behind him. Director Wang glanced at the camera nonchalantly. The handsome and tall figure immediately dissipated the summer heat and refreshed people's spirits. Take a few more close-ups, they will be used for the evening news broadcast in Shanghai. After hearing this, the cameraman became more attentive in taking photos of Liu. At this time, neither of them could have imagined that the boy they accidentally photographed would arouse heated discussion in this assessment. Since it is the first time to identify fingerprint information, the waiting time is longer. By the time we got to Liu, half an hour had passed. After verification by the Pokemon troops stationed in the secret realm, Liu successfully passed and entered the secret realm. The entrance to the secret realm is a light curtain, which looks particularly magical, as if normal reality does not exist. Liu tentatively put his hand into the light curtain. In an instant, the space changed, and he was completely sucked into the secret realm. Stepping into the light curtain in front of you, the noisy sounds from the outside world are completely isolated. At the same time, every year on the broadcast date, viewers in Shanghai are accustomed to sitting in front of the TV early and waiting, regardless of whether there are candidates at home. Watch the live broadcast of the secret assessment. Finally, the live broadcast has started. The opening scene was a burst of fireworks, which turned into the characters' graduation assessment from the Magic City. The prologue begins. The perspective is taken from a high altitude. The live broadcast camera slowly zoomed in. A huge valley appeared in everyone's field of vision. There are groups of Pidgeotto and Spearow running in the sky, Diglett appears on the ground from time to time, and Metapod and Butterfree shuttle through the woods. Next to the lakeshore, Golduck walked by in a swaggering manner. Squirtle hides under the water, occasionally blowing bubbles. As soon as this scene of Pokémon harmonizing with nature appeared, it instantly captured all the viewers before the live broadcast. Wow, it's so beautiful, I also want to go and examine the secret realm. Closing square bracket. Not everyone can be a trainer. These Pokémon now look harmless to humans and animals, but in battle, they can be a monster with just one punch. Closing square bracket. I wonder who can take first place in this year's standings. Closing square bracket. I remember that last year the first place was so crowded. Not only people from Shanghai University of Science and Technology, but also people from Beijing University and Tsinghua University came. Closing square bracket. The competition in the Magic City is already fierce, and the value of being number one in the standings is much higher than that in third-tier cities. Closing square bracket. Countless barrages floated above the live broadcast. People are talking about the rise. At this time, the candidates had just entered the Bronze Secret Realm. After entering, candidates will be transported to various locations in the Secret Realm, with uncertain locations. Li Yu's eyes drooped slightly. The trees in front of him were lush and lush, with swaying branches and leaves, and rustling sounds, as if they were welcoming his arrival. But that quiet and deep forest path seemed like a bloody mouth, mysterious but dangerous. It's daunting. Drop. Closing square bracket. Sign in location. Magic City Bronze Secret Realm Mysterious Forest. Closing square bracket. Hey, check-in at Samsung location was successful. Closing square bracket. Congratulations to the host for receiving the reward, European Emperor's Halo. Closing square bracket. The European Emperor's Halo. The host will be blessed by the god of luck within 1 hour, and you will be the European Emperor. Closing square bracket. Successfully sign in at the special location and get a chance to win a random draw. Successfully sign in at the special location and get a chance to win a random draw. Closing square bracket. European Emperor's Halo. Li Yu was refreshed. He didn't expect that he would be given such a big surprise when he first came to the secret realm. This is simply cheating. After all, this sign-in also revealed another piece of information. The forest in front of you is called the Mysterious Forest. Just from the literal meaning, we know that the danger is extremely high. In the secret realm, having the European Emperor's aura is definitely the greatest weapon, maximizing your luck and completely avoiding all risks. Even his chances of encountering highly qualified Pokémon are also greatly increased. Thinking of this, Li Yu's eyes lit up slightly. Of course, what made him happiest was the accidental triggering of a random draw. In the past, it was only triggered by designated sign-in. Unexpectedly, this time, as soon as you entered the secret realm, the lottery opportunity was also triggered. System, start the lottery. He said immediately. During the random lottery. Congratulations to the host for obtaining Mew's Origin Power Fragment 1. Closing square bracket. What? Hearing this, Li Yu's eyes widened in shock. He couldn't believe what he just heard. The fragments of Mew's original power are more than just cheating, they are going to heaven. The next second, a purple diamond-shaped fragment the size of a finger appeared, making no sound and floating quietly in front of him. As if they were just tiny fragments. But Li Yu didn't dare to have the slightest contempt. His probing technique carefully swept over it, and in an instant, complete information about the fragments emerged. Scan result. This fragment is a super powerful law fragment. There are 18 kinds of law power in the world, corresponding to the 18 attributes of Pokémon. Understand the power of this law, be promoted to a divine beast, and your strength will be greatly increased. Closing square bracket. It dawned on him instantly. Mew is a psychic fantasy beast, and its original power represents the superpower law. The power of the origin is the power of the world, the power that creates everything, and the growth and destruction of all things are related to laws. The attribute energy of ordinary Pokémon is extremely thin, 1/1000th of the source power. There is no doubt that the fragments of Mew have integrated the source of law and are one of the sources of psychic type. After understanding everything, Li Yu felt as if he had been hit on the head. But he quickly smelling salts and summoned Mewtwo with a wave of his hand. As soon as Mewtwo appeared, his sharp purple eyes stared at the floating debris, his eyes filled with covet. It feels an extremely attractive force to itself. After a while, the purple fragments flew towards Mewtwo's chest and slowly integrated into it. The moment of complete integrated union. A layer of fluorescence appeared on Mewtwo's body. The fragments have been integrated union. Mewtwo spirit contest condition increased by 8%. Closing square bracket. 20% has been restored. It is indeed a fragment of source power. Li Yu was overjoyed. Supreme grade quality energy cubes can only restore Mewtwo by 2%, while small fragments with a volume less than 1/10 of the cube can restore up to 8%. Nowadays, the combat effectiveness that Mewtwo can exert is almost the same as that of a quasi-elite. Mewtwo closed his eyes and stretched out his right hand. Instantly, the majestic psychic condensed in its hands, and the entire forest seemed to be shaking at this moment, and invisible changes began to brew. Violent fluctuations came from the entrance of the forest. What a heaven-destroying aura it was. Everything he passed seemed to slash the entire secret realm. What is that? It seems that the majesty is inviolable. Luan stared in the direction of the mysterious forest in surprise. At the same time, he felt like the psychic inside his body was about to stir. This is the power inherited from his family. Why was it activated for no reason? Now he has no ability to control the power in his body. Ah! Luan screamed and fell to the ground. Fertile. Abra nervously ran to her owner, but at this moment, her body couldn't help but succumb to the ground. The eyes looking towards the lost forest are full of fear. In the valley, Sandshrew moved his ears alertly. Then, it showed no signs of fighting. He simply gave up on the fruit on hand and dug desperately. He disappeared within 10 seconds. Tuliu, who was fighting against him just now, was stunned and stood there at a loss. The lake's surface suddenly began to undulate violently, and groups of Magikarp and Goldeen jumped up and down, jumping out of the water from time to time. Li Az, who was observing from the shore, frowned. The hand that picked up the electronic screen put it down again. No, let's contact Brother Li later. I have to win points quickly and form a team with him. Determination flashed in the girl's eyes. Opening square bracket ? Closing square bracket. Is Luan sick? Closing square bracket. How come all the Pokemon trainer battled ran away and surrendered without a fight? Is the assessment this year so simple? Closing square bracket. No, what is going on? Closing square bracket. A question mark flashed across the live broadcast barrage, and the audience was quite surprised to see the changes in the Bronze Secret Realm. Since the assessment has just begun, the camera will only focus on people who were slightly famous before. Therefore, no one discovered Li Yu and Mewtwo. At the late stage, only the candidates at the top of the scoreboard will be captured by the camera one by one. Lu family. There was a chaos of war and chaos. What's wrong with Fanur? Nothing will happen to him, right? Ask them to suspend the assessment and get Fanur out. How can the graduation assessment be suspended? I hope Fanur is okay. The middle-aged man looked nervous, clenched his fists, and stared at the live broadcast without daring to blink. Strength. Boundless power is coming to you. Mewtwo was suspended in the air, the power in his hands still gathering. Being in it, Mewtwo can clearly feel the rapid improvement of his psychic, and he is addicted to the power of infinite transcendence. It seemed that with just one thought from him, the forest below could be destroyed. Mewtwo, that's it. Just then, a familiar voice stopped it. Mewtwo didn't hesitate, his expression calmed down, and his boundless power was instantly withdrawn. Then he landed slowly and stood obediently on Li Yu's side. Li Yu breathed a sigh of relief. Huh, I almost destroyed the Bronze Secret Realm. He also didn't expect that the power of Mewtwo who absorbed the fragments of the original power would become so powerful, even more terrifying than when he first saw it. But Li Yu is undoubtedly excited. The stronger Mewtwo becomes, the more unbeatable his trump card becomes. System, activate the European Emperor's Halo. After summoning Gible, Li Yu said to the system. The European Emperor's Halo has been activated, and it lasts for 1 hour. Closing square bracket. Hearing this, he was satisfied with Li Yu and walked towards the lost forest. A gentle breeze ripples among the trees. As you walk around, you can feel the natural scent of flowers, plants and trees. I have to say that if it were not for the assessment, it would indeed be a kind of enjoyment in an environment like the Bronze Secret Realm. Soon, a rustling sound was heard coming from the bushes. Liu pushed aside the grass and looked around. A dark blue Pokemon with a fire on its back was busy carrying fruit. Sakura berry, Oran berry and Pecha berry. Then I'm welcome. He picked up more than a dozen tree fruits and put them in the space backpack behind his back. Squeak. The Pokemon on the ground yelled at Liu in dissatisfaction. The Pokemon on the ground yelled at Liu in dissatisfaction. Pokemon. Cyndaquil. Qualification. High level. Closing square bracket. Level. Level 10. Closing square bracket. Ability. Fierce. Skills. Leer, Smokescreen, Ember. Closing square bracket. High level. Liu raised his eyebrows. High-level Pokemon mostly appear in Bronze Secret Realms, and are relatively rare for trainers. You can also redeem a lot of points. But thinking about his European Emperor's aura, he was not surprised. There will only be more Pokemon with higher qualifications, not less. For example, now, after just walking a few steps, you can get Pecha berry and Sakura fruit, which can break the effects of poisoning and paralysis, as well as Oran berry, which can restore physical strength. The first two can be used as potions or consumed alone. The latter can create energy cubes. Liu's mouth curved with satisfaction, and he took it and left without stopping or choosing to fight. Any more fights would be a bit too bullying of the Pokemon. You can't catch one and pluck it hard. Cyndaquil looked at Liu's walking back, squeaked twice, and was very angry. Eyes rolling. Like a sneak attack. Just then, Mewtwo glanced back at it. Cyndaquil immediately curled up her neck and ran away without stopping for even a second. Liu's goal this time is to be a quasi-elite, so high-level qualifications are really not eye-catching. The pace quickened and he entered the depths of the jungle. Suddenly, a sharp growl came from the distance. Ah! It's a Beedrill group. Run, run. Ah, I'm most afraid of bug-type Pokemon. Ah, they're coming. Liu turned to one side. 2 men and 1 woman ran away from him. The girl even summoned a Pidgeotto and jumped out with a frightened expression. Buzz buzz. Behind the 3 people, a whole bunch of Beedrills show up. They are all yellow, have bodies divided into 3 segments, have red and round eyes, and have a poison barb on the end of their tails. The high-frequency vibrating wings have complex patterns. It's obvious that their habitat is ahead. I don't know how those 3 people provoked them just now, and they actually came out in full force. The 3 people ran very fast, probably running for their lives frequently, and soon disappeared. Beedrill did not catch up, but instead noticed Liu standing by the tree. Swish. All eyes were on him. Listening to the humming vibration makes one's skin crawl. But Liu's expression was strangely calm. Upon closer inspection, there was a hint of a smile. Those 3 are so unreliable, they are the only ones causing trouble. Closing square bracket. Yan go welfare, such a good-looking little brother. Closing square bracket. What's the use of looking good? As a trainer, my reaction is too slow. I'm probably going to be killed by this. Closing square bracket. It's so miserable, I dare not look at it. The barrage has everything. Mostly scolding the 3-man squad. After all, the camera just turned to the depths of the mysterious forest, and the whole process was broadcast live. The director accurately grasped the audience's psychology. People like excitement. Trainer has gone even further. Intense battles and conflicts are what the audience likes to watch. Therefore, even if the 3 people left, the camera still did not move and focused on Liu. The director sighed sympathetically behind the camera. There is no other way. For the sake of ratings, I can only expose your miserable situation to the public. Even though he said this, he was ruthless in controlling the director. In the secret realm, most candidates will choose to form a team for the assessment, and the points will be divided equally. There are very few people like Liu who work alone. At first sight, quite novel. And everyone also wants to see how he will deal with the Beedrill group. If the situation cannot be sustained, Pokemon troops will naturally enter the secret realm to rescue the candidates. The barrage also floated words such as nervousness and sweating at the right time. Faced with such a situation, Liu's expression didn't change at all. But at this time, his heart was not at peace either. Not the fear that the audience thought, but excitement. What he saw was not Pokemon, but a large number of points rushing towards him. With Mewtwo, a mythical beast whose combat power is worth cheating, these Beedrills are simply an appetizer. Not even enough for one plate. The European Emperor's halo is indeed worthy of its name. Gible, Dragon Breath. Mewtwo, please support us at any time. Don't let Gible be attacked. Hearing this, the two Pokemon nodded at the same time. Gible, who was still a little nervous at first, suddenly became bolder when he heard that Mewtwo was nearby. The only trace of nervousness disappeared. Gible stood still and began to brew. Then, a strong breath surged up from its abdomen and gathered near its throat. As Gible opened his mouth, that strong aura spurted out instantly. The blue dragon breath turned into surging energy, sweeping through normal like a strong wind, heading straight towards the Beedrill community. The powerful dragon breath instantly overwhelmed the first row of Beedrill figures. The next second, I saw that the huge impact directly sent the two closest Beedrills flying away and fell into a coma. Beedrill, who was almost attacked in the first row, saw this and his red eyes flashed suddenly. Then he began to retreat and his actions became cautious. A few more sneaked around behind. When Gible is exhausted, he goes around to attack him. The poison barb on his tail shines brightly. Behind. Closing square bracket. Gible, the future quasi-god. Closing square bracket. What is the other Pokemon? Can anyone give an answer? I've never seen it before, it seems very powerful. So cool, fighting against the Beedrill group alone is definitely the most exciting scene in the graduation exam. Closing square bracket. Countless barrages follow the battle situation and the mood is ups and downs. After Gible used Dragon Breath, they knew they were on the wrong track. The boy in front of me is definitely a trainer who cannot be underestimated. At the same time, Poison Barb comes out. Ding ding ding. But suddenly fell to the ground. An invisible energy barrier blocked Beedrill's attack. Mewtwo takes action. It had an indifferent expression, and its purple eyes glanced condescendingly at a few Beedrills. Suddenly, the Beedrill group strangely stopped moving. An ominous premonition began to spread to the entire colony, and the buzzing of wings became more frequent. Pokemon's premonitions are always spot on. Sudden. Swift. Liu issued an ultimatum. Mewtwo waved his hand slightly. The mysterious forest burst out with a burst of starlight, like stars falling, extremely dazzling. The starlight shines in front of the Beedrill community in a blink of an eye. The next second, the explosion exploded, sweeping away the entire Beedrill group that was coming towards us. Dust instantly filled most of the battlefield. Buzzing. The Beedrill flock flapped their wings vigorously, but to no avail. In the dust, one could only see them falling from the air one after another, whether they were unconscious or passed out. Hey, congratulations to the host for defeating Beedrill, Express. Share is starting. Gible's level has been raised to level 18. Closing square bracket. Hey, Express. Share is starting. Gible level has been raised to level 20. Closing square bracket. Hey, congratulations to the host for defeating the Beedrill leader. Mewtwo has gained 10,000 battle experience points. Closing square bracket. Drop. As the Beedrill group fell, a series of system prompts sounded in Liu's mind. Thanks for watching.